The cards never lie, but sometimes I wish they would. I'm Lena Walker, 47 years old, with copper hair that catches the afternoon light streaming through my shop window, and I've been reading tarot for 23 years. My green eyes have seen every kind of heartbreak, every desperate question about love and loss. But nothing prepared me for the hurricane that blew through my door that Tuesday in March. I need to know if he's cheating. The blonde stormed in like she owned the place, her blue eyes blazing with fury. She was younger, maybe 32, with the kind of restless energy that made my small shop feel suddenly cramped. Everyone says you're the real deal. I gestured to the chair across from my reading table. I'm Lena. And you are? Mia Gonzalez. She dropped into the seat, her hands shaking slightly. My boyfriend's been acting weird for months. Late nights, phone calls he won't explain. I need the truth. I shuffled my worn deck, feeling the familiar weight of the cards between my fingers. The truth isn't always what we expect. Just tell me what the damn cards say. The first card I flipped made me pause. The Lovers, but reversed. Then came the Two of Cups, sideways. The final card in the spread was the Star, upright and glowing in the lamplight. Mia leaned forward. Well? He's not cheating, I said carefully, studying her face. But you're not happy because you're looking for something he can't give you. What's that supposed to mean? Cards whispered their secrets, but I hesitated. After 2 decades of readings, I'd learned when to speak and when to stay quiet. This felt dangerous. You're searching for a connection that runs deeper than what you have. That's bullshit. We've been together 3 years. The cards suggest you're meant for someone else entirely. Someone who understands your soul. I touched the Star card. This represents new beginnings, Hope, but it requires courage to embrace change. Mia stared at the cards, her anger melting into confusion. I don't understand. Sometimes we think we know what we want, but our hearts are calling us towards something completely different. I kept my voice gentle. The universe has plans we can't always see. She was quiet for a long moment, then reached for her wallet. How much? $40. As she counted out the bills, her fingers accidentally brushed mine when she handed over the money. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through me, warm and electric. Mia's eyes widened slightly, and I knew she felt it too. Thank you, she whispered, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. I scribbled my business card information on a slip of paper. Call if you have more questions. She took the card, our fingers touching again for just a heartbeat longer than necessary. Maybe I will. After she left, I sat staring at the cards still spread on my table. The Lover's card seemed to mock me with its upside-down promises. In all my years of reading, I'd never felt such an immediate, powerful connection to a client. Mia Gonzalez was going to be trouble, the kind that changes everything. I just didn't know how right I was. 3 weeks passed before I saw Mia again. I'd thrown myself into my regular routine, trying to forget those blue eyes and the electric touch that had left me unsettled. Tuesday nights meant volunteering with the Tennessee River Coalition, something I'd been doing quietly for 5 years. We met at iGEM's Nature Center, a small group of locals determined to keep Knoxville's waterways clean. We have a new volunteer tonight, announced Sarah, our group leader. Mia Gonzalez. My heart nearly stopped. There she was, blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing jeans and a faded Save the Whales t-shirt. She looked younger in casual clothes, more vulnerable somehow. Hi everyone, Mia said, scanning the group until her gaze landed on me. Her smile was knowing, almost predatory. Looking forward to getting my hands dirty. I kept my expression neutral, but inside I was reeling. This couldn't be coincidence. We were assigned to the same cleanup section along the riverbank. For 20 minutes we worked in silence, picking up trash and invasive plants. The spring air was crisp, filled with the sound of rushing water and birdsong. Every time I glanced over, Mia was watching me. So, she finally said, pulling up a stubborn piece of plastic. Funny running into you here. Small town, I replied, not looking at her. Right. She moved closer, ostensibly to help with a tangled fishing line, but her shoulder brushed mine. I broke up with him. My hand stilled on the line. I didn't ask. The cards were right. I wasn't happy. She was close enough that I could smell her shampoo, something floral and clean. Turns out I was looking for someone who could see my soul. Mia, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Her voice was soft, honest. About that moment when our hands touched. Tell me you felt it too. I stood up, putting distance between us. We should focus on the cleanup. But she followed me, determined. For the next hour, she found excuses to be near me, asking for help with heavy branches, sharing her water bottle, commenting on the beauty of the river. Her flirting was obvious and bold, and despite my best efforts, I found myself responding. This place is magical, she said as we finished filling our trash bags. All this life, this energy flowing through the water. It's important to protect what matters, I said, surprised to find myself opening up. Yes, it is. Her eyes met mine, and the double meaning was clear. The other volunteers had already headed back to the parking area. We were alone by the water, the setting sun painting everything golden. Mia stepped closer, and this time I didn't move away. I've never felt this way about a woman before, she whispered, but I can't ignore it anymore. You don't know what you're asking. I know exactly what I'm asking. She reached up and touched my cheek, her fingers gentle against my skin. The question is whether you're brave enough to answer. Before I could think, before I could talk myself out of it, she kissed me. Soft at first, tentative, then deeper when I didn't pull away. Her lips were warm and sweet, and kissing her felt like coming home after a long journey. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she smiled that knowing smile again. There, she said, backing toward her car. Now you can't pretend you don't feel it too. I watched her drive away, my heart racing and my carefully ordered world tilting on its axis. Mia Gonzalez was definitely going to be trouble. The best kind of trouble. For 2 weeks, I became a master of avoidance. I changed my coffee routine, shopped at different grocery stores, even switched to morning yoga classes. But Mia Gonzalez was like smoke, somehow finding her way into every corner of my life. Thursday morning, she was waiting outside my tarot shop when I arrived to open. Running from me, Lena? I'm not running. I fumbled with my keys, trying to ignore how good she looked in that green sundress. I'm being practical. Since when is avoiding your feelings practical? I finally got the door open and stepped inside, but she followed me. The familiar scent of sandalwood and crystals filled the air, but today it felt charged with tension. You felt something by that river, she continued, setting her purse down like she planned to stay. Don't lie to yourself. What I felt was a mistake. I busied myself arranging cards, anything to avoid looking at her. You're 32. You just ended a long relationship. You don't know what you want. I know I want you. The simple honesty in her voice made me stop pretending to shuffle my deck. Mia, I'm 47 years old. I've been divorced twice, from men. I have a business to think about, a reputation. So you're going to hide behind your cards forever? She moved closer, her blue eyes flashing. When was the last time you took a real risk, Lena? When did you last feel truly alive? I don't need lectures about my life choices. No, you need someone to remind you that you're allowed to be happy. Her voice softened. I see how you light up when you laugh. I watch how gentle you are with your clients, how passionate you get about the environment. You're this amazing, vibrant woman, but you're living like you're already dead. The words hit harder than I expected. You don't know anything about me. I know you make the best chamomile tea in Knoxville. I know you cry during sad movies but try to hide it. I know you have a scar on your left wrist from when you were 10 and fell off your bike. She stepped even closer. And I know you think about me every night before you fall asleep. How could you possibly? Because I think about you too. The air between us crackled with unspoken desire. 2 weeks of running, of denying what I felt, suddenly seemed pointless. When she reached for my hand, I didn't pull away. Have dinner with me, she whispered. One real evening. If you still want me to leave after that, I will. Against every rational thought in my head, I heard myself say yes. That night, She arrived at my apartment above the shop with wine and homemade pasta. We talked until midnight about everything. Her work at the environmental nonprofit, my journey from skeptical teenager to believing in the cards, our shared love of old movies and hiking trails. "Why tarot?" she asked, curled up on my couch with her wine glass. "Because people need hope," I said. "They need to believe their story isn't finished yet." "What about your story?" I looked at her, really looked, seeing the genuine care in her eyes, the way she listened like my words mattered. I thought it was finished. Until recently. She set down her wine and moved closer. "Lena, I'm scared," I admitted. "I don't know how to do this. We'll figure it out together." Her hand found mine. "Unless you want me to leave." Instead of answering, I kissed her. This time there was no hesitation, no holding back. She tasted like wine and promises, and when she pulled me closer, I let myself fall. We moved to my bedroom, hands exploring, hearts racing, two women discovering something neither of us had expected to find. Later, wrapped in my quilt, she traced lazy patterns on my shoulder. "No regrets? Ask me in the morning," I whispered, already knowing the answer. Morning brought no regrets, only the intoxicating reality of Mia curled against me, her blonde hair spread across my pillow like spun gold. At 47, I thought I knew everything about love and desire. Mia was teaching me I knew nothing at all. "Good morning, beautiful," she murmured, pressing soft kisses along my collarbone. Her enthusiasm for this new world of intimacy between women was both endearing and overwhelming. Every touch felt like a revelation to her. "How do you have this much energy?" I laughed, trying to untangle myself from her eager embrace. "Some of us have businesses to run. Some of us want to celebrate finding something amazing." She propped herself up on one elbow, studying my face. "Is this really your first time with a woman?" Heat crept up my neck. "It's been 20 years since I even considered it. College experimentation doesn't really count." "Well, you haven't lost your touch." Her grin was wicked, so to speak. The next few weeks fell into a pattern of stolen moments and growing intimacy. Mia would show up at my shop during lunch breaks, bringing sandwiches and stories from her environmental work. We'd steal kisses between customers, her hands finding excuses to touch mine as I shuffled cards. But the age gap created complications I hadn't anticipated. "I want to take you to the Earth Day festival," she said one afternoon, bouncing with excitement. "There's going to be live music, food trucks, booths for every environmental group in East Tennessee." "That sounds lovely, but maybe we should keep things quiet for now." Her face fell. "Quiet? We've been together 2 months, Lena. How long are we supposed to hide? I have clients who've been coming to me for decades, conservative clients who might not understand." "Understand what? That you're happy? Understand that their spiritual advisor is in a same-sex relationship with someone young enough to be her daughter." The words hung between us like a wall. Mia's blue eyes flashed with hurt and anger. "First, I'm 32, not 22. Second, what other people think shouldn't matter more than what we have." "Easy for you to say. Your job isn't built on personal relationships and trust." "So, I'm an embarrassment?" "That's not what I meant." But the damage was done. She left that day without our usual goodbye kiss, and I spent the evening wondering if I was making the same mistakes that had ended my marriages. The following weekend, she surprised me by booking a cabin in the Smoky Mountains. 2 days, just us, she said, appearing at my shop Friday afternoon with a packed bag. No town gossip, no worried clients, just Lena and Mia figuring out what this is. The mountain air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine and wildflowers. We hiked during the day, talking about everything except our fight. That evening, she built a fire on the cabin's deck while I made dinner. "Look at those stars," she breathed, settling beside me on the outdoor couch. The night sky was magnificent, unmarred by city lights. We sat in comfortable silence, her head on my shoulder, until she tilted her face up to mine. "I love you," she whispered. My heart stopped. "Mia, I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I love you, Lena Walker. Instead of words, I showed her my answer. We made love under that star-filled sky, with the mountain breeze cool against our skin and the fire crackling nearby. Her touch was reverent, worshipful, and I felt myself falling deeper into something I'd never experienced before. Later, wrapped in blankets, she traced the lines on my palm. "What do my hands tell you?" I asked. "That you've worked hard, loved deeply, and you're not done surprising yourself." She kissed my palm. "And that you're mine." Am I? Only if you want to be. Looking into her eyes, feeling the absolute certainty of her love, I realized I'd been hiding from more than just town gossip. I'd been hiding from the possibility that real, transformative love could still find me. "Yes," I whispered, "I want to be yours." The call came on a Tuesday morning while Mia was organizing my medical files, trying to bring some order to my chaotic record-keeping. I'd been putting off the paperwork for months, but she'd insisted on helping during her lunch break. "Lena Walker?" The voice on the phone was professional, unfamiliar. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen from University of Tennessee Medical Center. I'm calling about your kidney donation from 5 years ago." My blood went cold. I thought those records were confidential. They are, but the recipient has requested contact with their donor. She's been trying to locate you for months. Mia looked up from the stack of insurance forms, sensing my tension. I turned away, lowering my voice. "Who is it?" "Rebecca Martinez. She's a city councilwoman here in Knoxville. She's very eager to meet you and express her gratitude." The phone nearly slipped from my hand. Rebecca Martinez, the woman who'd been leading the charge to shut down what she called occult businesses in downtown Knoxville. The same woman who'd publicly stated that tarot readers were frauds preying on vulnerable people. "Miss Walker, are you there?" "I need time to think about this." After hanging up, I slumped against the kitchen counter. Mia was beside me instantly, her hand on my back. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." 5 years ago, I donated a kidney anonymously, I said quietly. "I just found out who received it." "That's wonderful. Why do you look terrified?" "Because it was Rebecca Martinez." Mia's eyes widened. "The councilwoman? The one who's been trying to get your business license revoked?" "The very same." I laughed bitterly. I literally gave part of myself to save the life of someone who wants to destroy my livelihood. "Why didn't you tell me about the donation?" The question hit me like a slap. It was private, personal. "We've been together for months, Lena. We're talking about moving in together, planning a future, and you never mentioned that you're a hero who saved someone's life?" "I'm not a hero. I just did what felt right." "This is exactly what I'm talking about." Her voice rose with frustration. "You hide things, important things. How am I supposed to build a relationship with someone who keeps parts of herself locked away?" It wasn't relevant. "Everything about you is relevant to me." She grabbed her purse, her movements sharp with anger. "I thought we were past the walls, Lena. I thought you trusted me." "Mia, wait." But she was already heading for the door. "Call me when you decide I'm worth being honest with." The silence after she left felt deafening. I stared at the medical files scattered across my kitchen table, each one a reminder of my tendency to compartmentalize, to keep secrets even from people I loved. 2 hours later, Rebecca Martinez appeared at my shop. She was smaller than she looked on television, with silver hair pulled back severely, and the kind of sharp suit that screamed authority. But her eyes were softer than I expected, almost vulnerable. "Ms. Walker? I'm Rebecca Martinez. I believe Dr. Chen called you." I nodded, unable to speak. "I've been searching for you for 2 years. The person who gave me my life back." She stepped closer, her voice breaking slightly. "I was dying. My family was preparing for the worst, and then this miracle happened. A stranger gave me hope." The irony was suffocating. This woman, who'd spent months trying to shut me down, owed her life to me. "I need you to know," she continued, "that everything I've said about your business, the ordinances I've supported, they came from ignorance. from fear of what I didn't understand. And now? Now I realize that someone with the generosity of spirit to anonymously save a stranger's life couldn't possibly be the charlatan I painted you as. She pulled out a folded paper. I'm withdrawing my support for the anti-fortune-telling ordinance. And I owe you an apology. Just then, the shop door chimed. Mia walked in, stopping short when she saw Rebecca. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had a client. Mia's voice was careful, polite. Actually, Rebecca said, extending her hand, I'm not a client. I'm someone whose life was saved by your girlfriend's incredible generosity. The word girlfriend hung in the air between us. Mia's eyes found mine, and I saw the hurt there, the question of whether I was ready to claim what we had in front of someone like Rebecca Martinez. Yes, I said quietly. She is my girlfriend. For the first time in weeks, Mia smiled. Rebecca's newfound gratitude came with a price I hadn't anticipated. Within days of our meeting, word spread through Knoxville's tight-knit community that the woman trying to shut down my business was actually alive because of me. The irony was too delicious for local gossip to ignore. But Rebecca's moral conflict ran deeper than I realized. 3 days after our meeting, she returned to my shop, this time with a different energy entirely. I've been praying about this situation, she said, her voice tight with internal struggle. Asking for guidance about how to reconcile my gratitude with my beliefs. And what did your prayers tell you? That I can't in good conscience support someone whose practices go against everything I believe spiritually, even if that person saved my life. Her eyes were cold now, calculating. I'm withdrawing my apology, Ms. Walker, and I think the people of Knoxville deserve to know about your relationship with that young woman. My blood turned to ice. What are you saying? I'm saying that if you don't close your shop voluntarily, I'll make sure everyone knows about your lifestyle choices. Small towns have long memories about these things. She left me standing there, shaking with rage and fear. Within hours, her threat became reality. By Thursday morning, several of my regular clients had canceled their appointments. Mrs. Henderson, who'd been coming to me for 15 years, called to say her husband forbade her from associating with that kind of person. Mia found me crying over my appointment book that afternoon. What happened? She gathered me into her arms, and I told her everything. This is my fault, she said, her voice thick with guilt. If we hadn't been so open about being together. No, this is Rebecca's fault. And mine for thinking I could have both a public business and a private life. But the damage spread beyond my shop. Friday morning, Mia arrived at work to find her supervisor, Jim Patterson, waiting in her office. We need to talk, he said, closing the door behind him. Jim was old-school Knoxville, the kind of man who believed women belonged in supporting roles and anything outside traditional marriage was an abomination. What's this about? Your personal life has become a distraction. People are talking about you and that witch woman downtown. Mia's spine straightened. My personal life is none of this organization's business. It is when it affects our funding. 3 of our major donors called yesterday. They're concerned about the moral character of our employees. He leaned back in his chair, enjoying his power. I'm reassigning you to filing and data entry. No more public contact, no more presentations to potential funders. You can't do this. It's discrimination. I can do whatever's necessary to protect this organization's reputation. His smile was cold. Unless you'd prefer to find employment elsewhere. That evening, Mia came to my apartment defeated and angry. She'd spent 8 years building her career in environmental advocacy, and now it was crumbling because of our relationship. Maybe we should take a break, I said quietly. Until this dies down. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. A break? I'm destroying your life, Mia. Your career, your reputation. This isn't what you signed up for. What I signed up for was loving you. All of you, including the parts that make other people uncomfortable. Be practical. You're 32 years old. You have your whole career ahead of you. Stop deciding what's best for me. Her voice was sharp with hurt. I'm a grown woman, Lena. I can make my own choices about what I'm willing to sacrifice for love. And what if love isn't enough? What if we can't survive this? She stared at me for a long moment, tears gathering in her blue eyes. I guess that's something I need to figure out on my own. She left that night, taking her toothbrush and the small collection of clothes she'd been keeping in my dresser. The apartment felt hollow without her laughter, without her optimistic chatter about environmental projects and future plans. For 3 weeks, we lived separate lives in the same small town. I watched my business slowly hemorrhage clients while she threw herself into work with reckless determination, taking on dangerous assignments, documenting illegal dumping sites, and confronting industrial polluters. I missed her with an ache that felt physical, but I told myself I was protecting her. Some loves, I reasoned, were too costly to sustain. I was wrong, but it would take almost losing her completely for me to realize it. 3 weeks without Mia felt like 3 years. My business was barely surviving, down to maybe 6 clients a week, mostly longtime believers who didn't care about town gossip. I spent my days rearranging crystals and pretending to organize inventory while my heart slowly broke into smaller pieces. Then Sarah from the River Coalition called with news that made my blood freeze. "Mia's in the hospital," she said without preamble. She was documenting illegal chemical dumping at the old paper mill site yesterday. The scaffolding she was climbing gave way. I was in my car before Sarah finished explaining about broken ribs and a concussion. At the hospital, I paced the waiting room like a caged animal until the doctor finally let me see her. She looked so small in that hospital bed. Blonde hair spread across the pillow, her face pale except for the angry bruise on her left temple. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "You came." "Of course I came." I took her hand, careful of the IV line. "What were you thinking, climbing that old structure alone?" "I was thinking that someone needs to care about what these companies are doing to our water." Her voice was hoarse. "And I was thinking that work was easier than missing you. Mia, I know you thought you were protecting me, but you weren't. You were just running scared again." She was right, and we both knew it. I'd spent 3 weeks telling myself I was being noble, sacrificing for her future, when really I was just too afraid to fight for what we had. "I heard about what you're planning," I said quietly. "What planning?" Sarah mentioned a rally. Something about defending spiritual freedom and small businesses. Mia tried to sit up straighter, wincing with pain. "It's this Saturday, downtown square, noon. We've got permits, speakers lined up. The whole environmental community is backing it." "You organized this from a hospital bed?" "I organized it 3 weeks ago, right after we broke up." Her blue eyes were fierce despite her injuries. "I decided if you weren't going to fight for us, I'd fight for you." My throat tightened. "Why?" "Because love isn't just about the easy moments, Lena. It's about standing up when it matters. It's about refusing to let fear win." Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly, typical spring weather for East Tennessee. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, trying to decide if I had the courage to show up. Mia was being discharged that morning against medical advice, determined to speak at her own rally. By 11:30, I could hear voices gathering in the square 2 blocks away. The sound carried on the wind, growing stronger as more people arrived. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. The crowd was bigger than I'd expected, maybe 200 people holding signs that read "Spiritual Freedom" and "Support Local Business" and "Love is Love." Mia stood on the makeshift stage, still pale but radiant with determination. "We're here today because diversity makes us stronger," she was saying into the microphone. "Whether that's diversity of beliefs, of lifestyles, or of the people we choose to love." I pushed through the crowd, my heart pounding as heads turned to recognize me. Some faces were friendly, others curious, a few openly hostile. But I kept moving toward the stage. "Small businesses are the heart of any community," Mia continued. "And when we let prejudice drive good people away, we all lose something valuable." She saw me then, standing at the edge of the crowd, and her speech faltered for just a moment. Our eyes met across the distance, and I saw the question there, the hope she was trying not to feel. Without thinking, I climbed the steps to the stage. The crowd murmured, cameras flashed, and Mia held out her hand to me. "This is Lena Walker," she said into the microphone. "She's a businesswoman, a community volunteer, and the woman I love." The crowd erupted, some cheering, others gasping. I took the microphone with shaking hands. 3 weeks ago, I thought protecting the person I love meant pushing her away, I said, my voice carrying across the square. I was wrong. Sometimes, protecting someone means standing beside them, no matter what it costs. I turned to Mia, ignoring the crowd, the cameras, the whispers. "I love you too, and I'm sorry it took me so long to say it publicly." She kissed me then, right there on the stage in front of half of Knoxville. It was soft and sweet and full of forgiveness, and I didn't care who was watching or what they thought. When we finally broke apart, the crowd was cheering louder than before. Even some of the skeptical faces had softened into smiles. "Now that's what I call a happy ending," someone called out, and laughter rippled through the square. But I knew this wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning. The rally's impact rippled through Knoxville faster than either of us expected. By Monday morning, local news stations were running segments about the tarot reader's love story, and the environmental community was calling it the most successful small business advocacy event in years. But the real surprise came Tuesday evening when Rebecca Martinez appeared on Channel 10's 6 o'clock newscast. "Good evening, I'm Rebecca Martinez, and I want to address my recent actions regarding downtown business ordinances." She looked directly into the camera, her usual confidence replaced by something that looked like humility. 3 weeks ago, I learned that Lena Walker, a woman whose business I was trying to shut down, saved my life 5 years ago through an anonymous kidney donation. Mia and I watched from my couch, her head still bandaged but her hand firmly clasped in mine. "My initial response was gratitude," Rebecca continued. "But then my prejudices took over. I let fear and narrow-minded thinking override the debt I owed to someone who gave me a second chance at life." "Holy shit," Mia whispered. "She's actually doing it." "I was wrong," Rebecca said. "About Ms. Walker's business, about her character, and about her right to love who she chooses. Prejudice almost made me destroy the life of the person who literally saved mine. I hereby withdraw all support for the anti-fortune-telling ordinance, and I publicly apologize to Lena Walker and Mia Gonzalez for the harassment they've endured." The phone started ringing before the segment ended. First it was Sarah from the River Coalition, then former clients wanting to book appointments, then complete strangers asking about readings. "This is surreal," I said, watching the caller ID scroll through numbers I didn't recognize. "This is justice," Mia corrected, kissing my temple. "And it's about damn time." The next few days brought a flood of support I never could have imagined. The local newspaper ran a feature story about my kidney donation, painting me as a hometown hero who'd been unfairly persecuted. My appointment book filled up for the first time in months. More surprisingly, Mia's supervisor called her into his office Thursday morning with unexpected news. "Jim Patterson has been transferred to our Nashville office," her new supervisor, Maria Santos, explained. "Effective immediately. There were some complaints about his management style and his interpretation of our non-discrimination policies. What does that mean for me?" "It means you're getting your old position back, plus a promotion to senior environmental advocate. We've had several major donors specifically request to work with you after seeing your rally coverage." That evening, we celebrated at our favorite Italian restaurant, the same place where we'd shared our first real dinner months ago. But now we didn't have to worry about who might see us holding hands across the table. "I have something for you," Mia said, pulling out a small wrapped box. Inside was a key. Not just any key, but one of those old-fashioned skeleton keys, ornate and beautiful. "It's to my apartment," she said, suddenly shy. "I know we talked about me moving in above your shop, but I thought maybe you'd want to have a key to my place too. Options, you know?" "I love it." I slipped the key onto my keychain next to my shop keys. Though I have to ask, when did you have time to get this made? You've been recovering from a concussion. "I got it made 3 months ago," she admitted, her cheeks pink. I've been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment to give it to you. Even when we were broken up, especially then. I knew we'd figure it out eventually. 2 weeks later, we decided to make the move official. Mia helped me pack up the apartment above my shop, and we turned it into expanded space for my tarot business. Her apartment became our home, filled with her environmental advocacy awards mixed with my crystals and card collections. "This feels right," she said one evening, curled up against me on our couch, watching the sunset through the windows. All of it. The rally, the publicity, Rebecca's apology, your business thriving. And us? Especially us. She tilted her face up for a kiss. "I love you, Lena Walker. All of you, including the parts that scared me at first." "What parts scared you?" "The way you loved so completely, so intensely. I'd never been loved like that before. It was terrifying and wonderful at the same time." I understood what she meant. Loving Mia had changed everything about how I saw myself, my future, my capacity for happiness. At 47, I'd thought my story was mostly written. She'd shown me I was just getting to the good parts. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, studying my face. "Tomorrow. Next month. Next year." I tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. "All the time we have ahead of us. Any regrets about going public, about taking the risk?" I thought about my thriving business, her promotion, the acceptance we'd found in unexpected places, the love that had survived every test so far. "None," I said, meaning it completely. "Not a single one." 6 months later, spring returned to Knoxville with a vengeance. The dogwoods were blooming early, painting the city in soft pink and white, and the Tennessee River ran high and clear from winter rains. Mia and I stood in the expanded space that had once been my apartment, watching 20 people arrange themselves in a circle for our first joint workshop. "Welcome to Tarot for Environmental Action," I announced, shuffling my favorite deck. "Today we're exploring how ancient wisdom can guide modern activism." The idea had been Mia's, born from her belief that spirituality and environmentalism were natural partners. To my surprise, it had attracted everyone from college students to retired teachers, all eager to combine divination with their passion for protecting the planet. "The Earth card represents grounding and practical action," I explained, laying out the spread. "But notice how it connects to the star, which symbolizes hope and inspiration. Just like how local action connects to global change," Mia added, her enthusiasm infectious as always. She'd grown into her role as co-facilitator naturally, bringing scientific knowledge to balance my intuitive approach. Mrs. Chen, a retired biology professor, raised her hand. "How do you reconcile faith-based practices with evidence-based environmentalism?" "They're both about paying attention," Mia answered. "Whether you're reading signs in cards or reading signs in nature, you're learning to notice what others might miss." After the workshop ended, and our participants filed out chattering excitedly about next month's session, Mia collapsed onto our couch with dramatic flair. 20 people, she marveled. "Remember when we thought 12 would be ambitious? Remember when I thought my career was over?" I settled beside her, pulling her feet into my lap. Amazing what happens when you stop hiding. Our business partnership had exceeded every expectation. The workshops were booked solid through summer. My traditional tarot practice was thriving, and Mia's environmental consulting work had expanded to include spiritual retreat centers across Tennessee. "I have something for you," I said, producing a wrapped package from behind the couch cushions. "It's not our anniversary for another month. It's our 1-year anniversary of the rally, of choosing courage over fear." She unwrapped it carefully, gasping when she saw what was inside. A complete tarot deck, but not just any deck. I'd spent 4 months hand-painting each card, incorporating symbols from our relationship, our shared environmental work, our journey together. The Lover's card showed 2 women by a river, planting trees under starlight. The star featured the exact view from our mountain cabin. The World card depicted hands holding both a crystal and a seedling, representing the merge of our 2 passions. "Lena, this is incredible." Her voice was thick with emotion as she examined each card. Look, this one has the rally stage and this one has your shop. Turn over the box. On the bottom, I'd painted a simple inscription. For Mia, who taught me that love is an action, not just a feeling. Our story continues. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she set the deck aside and kissed me deeply. I love you so much it sometimes scares me. Good scared or bad scared? The best kind of scared. The kind that means you're living fully. Later that evening, we worked in the small garden we'd planted behind the shop. Tomatoes and herbs mixed with native wildflowers. Practical nourishment alongside beauty. It was very us. Very much a reflection of how we'd learned to blend our different approaches to life. What do you think we'll be doing 5 years from now? Mia asked, her hands dark with soil as she transplanted basil seedlings. Hopefully this, but bigger. Maybe we'll have workshops in other cities, or write a book about spiritual environmentalism. What about personally? I looked at her, blonde hair escaping from her ponytail, dirt smudged on her cheek, completely focused on nurturing new life. At 33, she was even more beautiful than when we'd met, but it was a deeper beauty now, earned through challenges faced together. Personally, I think we'll be exactly where we belong. Together, growing things, helping people find their way. That sounds perfect. She sat back on her heels, surveying our work. You know what I realized today during the workshop? What? A year ago, I thought finding you was about discovering who I really was, but it wasn't about finding myself at all. No? It was about finding my home. She reached for my hand, both of us dirty from gardening, both of us exactly where we were meant to be. You're my home, Lena. As spring settled over Knoxville and our garden began to bloom, I understood that some stories don't have traditional endings. They just keep growing, season after season, deeper and stronger with each passing year. The cards had been right all along. Sometimes the greatest magic is simply having the courage to love completely, publicly, without apology. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, that love grows back.